Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Matt and Matt O-Scale Train podcast. We are actually on episode 8, so 8 episodes in, and really excited about tonight's episode. I am one of your hosts, Matt Rochford, and with me, as always, is my co-host,
Matt Suzuha.
Matt, how you doing tonight?
Oh, fantastic. How about yourself?
I am doing better, thank you.
Good.
I apologize to everybody. I was not feeling well. I was out for about a week, and that kind of put us behind a little bit, but we're back and ready to go. And tonight, we are going to be reviewing the buying, selling, and trading of O-Scale trains.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a topic that both you and I, Matt, have a lot of experience on.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We're going to go into now just to kind of confirm here that we're talking about buying and selling through an auction site or perhaps a private seller, eBay, stuff like that. Or an online forum. We're not going to go over the general purchasing of O-Scale trains. There's really not really a need for that. We really want to stick to auctions and third-party sellers and stuff like that. So, all right. Well, I guess we'll just get started here. So what we're going to do is both Matt and I will kind of talk about just kind of what we some suggestions on what to look for, some kind of tips and tricks when you're buying and selling, and then we'll just go over some of our own personal experiences with buying and selling trains. So for me, Matt, so I have definitely sold on auction sites. I've sold on eBay. I've sold on our on the O-Gauge forums. I've sold to a couple of private sellers as well. And I've definitely purchased on eBay, and I've purchased through the O-Gauge forums as well. So, I've probably been doing it for, at least, a little less than 10 years, since I've been in the, really integrated myself into O-Gauge. Buying and selling through auction sites and private sellers is actually almost kind of part of the, just part of the hobby, because, everyone buys things, and, sometimes you get that train that you're not, you're like, well, it's just kind of sitting on the shelf. I'm not really running it anymore. I'd rather sell it and take that money and invest into maybe a railroad name that I'm more interested in now. Maybe it's an engine that you just it's run its time for you. You're like, yeah, well, I've had enough fun with it. I'm going to go ahead and maybe give it to somebody else who maybe who enjoys that railroad line, or maybe is interested in that specific engine and stuff like that. So, to me, part of the hobby is trading and selling trains. And I could probably tell you that I probably purchased over 20, at least definitely over 20 engines, 20 plus, and I've definitely sold probably that many as well. So, I've gone through several different railroads. I used to be really big on Union Pacific. I've really kind of toned down the Union Pacific, and I've definitely put myself more into the Burlington Northern Santa Fe railroad. And not that there's anything wrong with Union Pacific. I still have several Union Pacific pieces. I have the Union Pacific Line Master Line Chief 2 plus Big Boy. Don't have no plans of getting rid of that anytime soon. It's just that sometimes when you kind of focus on one or two railroad lines, it's a little easier to manage your budget, because the more railroad names out there, the more kind of stuff. Well, that's new, and I want that, and that's new, and I want that, and I want that for my layout, and yeah. So I mean that's just, and again, that was just kind of personally me. But as far as like, I'll start with kind of like buying. So when you're buying on an auction site or even from a private seller, couple things that you should do. Number one, always do a little research and make sure that the seller is telling you all of the information that you should know. And I think the most important thing here is photos. And why I push that is, do not purchase anything without actually seeing a photo of it. Don't purchase anything that has a factory photo of something. And this goes along everything when I'm talking about, like, either if you're buying it from an auction site or a private seller or in a forum, always ask for pictures. If they don't have any pictures, just move on. Because there is just no way, because you're buying electronically, because you're buying over the internet, obviously, you can't physically see this O-scale train that you're buying. So it's really important that you get a good sense of what it looks like. So again, if the seller hasn't posted a picture, sometimes they don't post them. Sometimes you have to ask them for it, and it does happen. But always make sure that you get a photo and you're able to see at least almost all of the important aspects of the engine, so you can tell if the body is in good shape, if there's any damage, and stuff like that. So that's the first thing that I would always look for when purchasing an O-scale engine from an auction or a private seller, is make sure you get a picture. Number two is do a little research. They should be, and they should always be posting a model number of said engine. So always get that model number, whether it be Lionel's 6-digit number or their new numbering scheme that includes like the year it was made, or MTH's where you get the 3.0 for Rail King or the 2.0 for excuse me, for Premier. Always make sure you get a model number on that. So I kind of noticed that I've seen a lot of sellers not put that on there. It's kind of like, oh, Santa Fe F3 ABA. Here's a bunch of pictures of it. Mm-hmm. It's PS2. Okay, but what's the model number? Like, I want to know when this thing was made, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what that does is, number one is you get the model number and then look it up. Just look it up on Lionel's site or MTH's site, or an Atlas. If it's an Atlas engine, look it up on Atlas's website. But just kind of check it out, see what year it was made. Sometimes if the instruction manual is available, I'll download that and review that. A lot of times with MTH, if it's a PS2, well, you don't know if it's the 5-volt or the 3-volt PS2, and that can make a big difference.
For sure.
And I'll, when we get to our own personal stories about that, I'll give an example of where that actually made a difference for me. But yeah, if you get that model number, look it up, and it's important to do a little bit of research on what you're looking for. Now, this isn't saying that if you already know what you're looking for, if you're looking for something specific, and let's just say you're looking for engine 20-33456 or whatever. If you've already done your research, that's fine and that's understandable. Maybe you're looking for something specific, you already know what you're looking for, and that's actually even better, because now you know what to expect when you're when you're looking at that eBay listing. So another item is price, right? And it's it's probably, I do say photos are important, but I'm sure price is probably the number one on a lot of people's list, because, hey, you know what? How much am I going to pay for this engine, right? I don't want to pay too much. What's the condition is it in? Is it in mint condition? Well, it's in mint condition, but it's also 15 years old, right? So what kind of price duration is there involved with that? Because, I'm not going to pay MSRP for an engine that's 15 years old. I'm not going to do it. It's just, a lot of, there's a lot of sellers out there who think they have I've got the end of all engine, and it's it's definitely worth a lot more. It's over MSRP, right? And it's like, come on, dude, it's not over MSRP. Like, I just skip there's plenty of eBayers like that. I just skip right past them.
Me too.
That's just ridiculous. I mean, I know there's supply. I know supply and demand makes a difference. I know there's a lot of, for example, Lionel made a lot of one year. Lionel made a bunch of SD70 Aces, and they're all heritage units, and those things are hard to find, and they go for a lot. So, but I think I saw one the other day. So it was just a regular SD70 Ace. It was I think they're from like 2012 maybe. 2014, somewhere around there. Brand new MSRP, they're like $479 or something like that. They go for like $700 almost online. And I'm just, as much as I really want that, I'm not gonna pay for that, because it's just it's not worth it to me at that price. I don't like paying MSRP. Well, I don't like paying over MSRP. I will pay MSRP for certain things if they're fairly new, but anything that's about, when you're looking over 10 years old, MSRP starts to look a little kind of like, I don't know about that. But, hey, to each their own. Everyone has their own value that they put on things, right? I mean, if it's a hard to find piece and you've been looking for something for the last 10 years and you find it once, go right ahead. Pay what you feel it's worth it to you, because in the end, that's what it comes down to. So, and I think just lastly, like, when you're dealing with eBayers, check their rating, right? Go, you can look at an eBayer's rating right there. If the person has like, anything under like 90%, you're probably just gonna want to avoid, unfortunately, unless they have like, 10,000 sales, right? Because, there's always that, you're not going to please everybody. If somebody has that many sales, okay, I think, around 90% is probably about what they're going to be. But anything under 90%, I'll usually just, or if they just don't have any history at all, right? If you see a really good deal on eBay and this person has never sold anything before, well, the old saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Well, it probably is. And I would probably just avoid that. Now, when it comes to private sellers, it's up to you to kind of make that assumption of the person that you're dealing with. I don't think I've ever had a bad experience on the O-Gauge forums, buying anything from folks on there. And they're always willing to work with you on it. And I'll get more of that into, I think I have a few kind of stories to tell, but we'll get that when we go down to our personal, views on that. But as far as like buying, that is probably my 2 cents. When it comes to selling, well, it's kind of the same thing, right? Make sure that you are taking a lot of photos. Photos are important. People want to see what they're buying, right? Price, I try to use average eBay pricing. I'll go on eBay. I'll type in the model number. I'll click on completed items. I'll see what the last, in the last couple months, like how much what was the trending price, right? And I'll try to be around that price. I'm not one to gouge or anything like that. Like, I don't consider like anything I have to be like super rare and, oh my God, like I better like double the price on this, because most of the time, it's not going to work. People are pretty smart. they know what things cost, right? So you're pricing out your engine correctly. You're taking those photos. Make sure your description is accurate, right? And honestly, just be honest about it. Like, I've sold things before where the smoke unit didn't work, or maybe one of the rails is bent, or hey, there's a scratch here. If you're honest about it, I think I'm more drawn to people who are honest in their descriptions. Tell me what's up. Tell me if there's a scratch on it, because I'd rather know now than open it up and say, well, where's the scratch from? You didn't say there was a scratch on here. Like, did I just do that? Was it shipped that way? Did it happen during shipping? So, to me, be honest with your description. Let people know if there's an issue. Trust me, there's a lot of people that don't care about scratches. People that, well, I'm going to paint it anyway, or I'm going to weather the device anyway. Whatever. I don't care if there's a scratch there. So be honest with your descriptions when you're selling things. And when it comes to doing being a private seller and selling in the O-Gauge forums, same rules apply, right? Put the photos out there. When it comes to pricing, be willing to haggle, because people like to haggle. I like to haggle. Maybe price it a little bit higher than what you want to get. That way you can come down to the price or be around the price that you're asking for. And don't be afraid. Look, if you're not interested in a piece anymore, if it doesn't have any value to anymore, and you're wanting to kind of pass it on and just recoups a little bit of funds, don't be afraid to be aggressive with your pricing. Let it go and move on to your, put it into that piggy bank, so you can spend it on something that you really want. So, and I think for me, Matt, that kind of wraps up my buying and selling tips. How about yourself?
All right. So for me, I kind of agree with you on the buying for eBay. Look at your pictures, zoom in on the pictures. I mean, whether you're using a computer or a phone, heck, you can even put on a TV if you want and blow the pictures up to your heart's content. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you really can do pretty much whatever you want as far as the model. As far as, information, description, definitely model number. Box is extremely important. I know you and I have talked about this before.
Good point.
We won't buy an item if it doesn't have a box. You know what I mean? So box is, if I don't see a box in a picture and it's not in the description, I assume there's no box and I just move on. I've passed up on nice items. I passed on an MTH DD1, which I really, really want, but it had no box. It was a killer price, but that no box turned me off right away. So definitely a box. If it's a MTH and it's a Proto 2 or 3, for a Proto 2, like Matt said, list the board type. If it's a 3 or 5 volt, it's very easy to tell which one it is. Put your hours and your miles on the thing using the phone app or the remote. If you run command, definitely do that. Just because, that's the other question everybody asks is, if it's an MTH engine, like I said, a command engine, they're going to ask you what's the hours and time. So what I do is before I list an engine, I'll get that information and I will put it in the description. So that way I don't have to have an email saying, what's the time, what's the hours. I don't have to answer that because it's already there. Now, if somebody blows by it and doesn't read it, then, that's when it gets kind of annoying. But, you kind of get the idea. It's basically almost the same thing you said. As far as prices go, I see topics all the time that's saying trains are not an investment. And you know what? They're really not, to be honest with you. Yes, there's pieces that are kind of hard to find and maybe a little bit, maybe quote unquote rare, but you got to remember rare does not always mean valuable. So like I have a couple of the UP Heritage units that I'm looking to get rid of, actually. One of them is the Chicago Northwestern unit. And sure, I could price that thing to the moon. I could ask $1,000 for it. I'm not going to. I'm asking a decent amount for what it is. I'm not giving it away, but I'm not, making bank on it either. So, you know what I mean? I'm going to try with that and see how it goes. But, I offer it a fair price just because, you know what, I want to move it, but I don't want to give it away either. So you got to kind of be fair with your pricing. And like Matt said too, with the description, be honest with the people. If there's issues with it, definitely let them know. Like for me with that CNW unit, the couplers don't work. So I made sure to put that in the description so that way they know that the couplers don't work. Just because, you know what, again, you don't want to be surprised when you throw on the layout and all of a sudden, why don't my couplers work? Well, the guy put it in the description, but you just might not have read it or something like that. But it does happen, so just kind of be mindful of that. And trying to think of what else. I can't really think of anything else. You basically kind of hit the nail on the head as far as I'm concerned.
One thing that I didn't bring up is if you do like buy something on eBay, and this has happened to me before too. Let's say you buy something on eBay, or maybe you sell something on eBay. Well, you're either you bought it and you open it up and it's not what you expected, or maybe you sold something and they opened it up and something's not what they expected. Please work with the person that you purchased, that either you purchased it from or purchased it from you. Don't just jump on the Panhandle and be like, oh, this person ripped me off. Oh my God. That's it. I'll tell you what, people on eBay will always work with you. I had an issue where I had purchased a set of Vision Line tank cars, the Vision Line tankers, and they were new in box. I got them. I put them on my layout. I left them. I left my layout on for, a couple, 10 minutes. I walked away. I went to go do something. I came back. I started hearing all kinds of clicking noises. It was the coupler on it, opening and closing. So I immediately shut down my layout. Then I opened it up and I smelled, and it smelled like something had burnt out in it. And I'm like, well, these, I've only had these things for I just put these things on the layout and now it's already, gone. Well, these are Vision Line tank cars. These are, expensive. I chatted the seller. He was a very nice gentleman. I worked with another guy to fix. I sent the tank car off to get fixed. It's a guy who fixes nothing but. I think he's out by you on the East Coast there. He does all of the Vision Line stuff, out of warranty Vision Line repairs. Alex, Alex at Jada Industries, right? Yeah. So I sent it off to Alex, and this guy knew about Alex, and whatever Alex was charging me, this gentleman actually gave me the credit for the repair. I have a little story really quickly about one that I sold on eBay that I worked with somebody who bought something from me. So I had a MTH Rail King Big Boy. It was in perfect condition. There's nothing wrong with it. Well, when I packed it away, I guess the how the MTH the way they kind of connect to the engine connects to the tender, right? The drawbar is kind of
wireless tether.
Yeah, the wireless tether, and the big boy one is just gigantic. It's just huge. Well, I may have bent it wrong or something like that. So when he opened it, he showed me and he took a picture of it. And he said, hey Matt, I just got this, and looks like it looks like the drawbar got bent or when it was taken out. And I'm like, I apologize. I'm like, really sorry. So what did I do? Well, I went to an online retailer and I bought the guy a set of MTH drawbars and I had it shipped directly to his house.
There you go.
And he was fine. I mean, I've sold, I've sold over 100 things on eBay. I don't have one negative mark, knock on wood, because I'm willing to work with folks. if something goes wrong. And the same experience for me is when I've purchased things and they haven't been, what I expected. People have worked with me. So I think it's a very important lesson for people to know that if you do buy something from somebody or you do sell something to somebody and you contact each other about it, work together to make it right. Because more than, like, I would say over 95% of the time, people are just going to work with you to make the other person happy and to make sure that the transaction was a positive one, right? Because on eBay, people don't want their rating messed with, right? So they're gonna do what they can to say, look, I want to make this person happy. I don't want to get a negative mark. And sometimes you even see that on the eBay reviews too. Like, hey, I had a problem, worked with the seller. They were great. They really helped me out. A++, et cetera, et cetera. So that was just one thing I wanted to bring up about buying and selling, and just kind of working with the customer or the seller or something like that if you do run into a problem. I guess that was one of my stories, so I'll knock that up as one of my stories, my own personal stories. I do have one other one that I wanted to go on. It was because I did reference it at the beginning of this episode, was about the PS2. So there are two, for those that don't know, there are two versions of PS2 out there, MTH PS2. There are the older first generation PS2s, which use a 5-volt battery. Is that correct, Matt? If I'm right, like it's like a 5-volt battery, and they use the technologies. It's the way it interacts with the battery and the power is a little bit different than the 3-volt PS2 hardware that came out a couple years later. I try my best to avoid the older PS2 5 volts because they're very fragile when it comes to power surges, and they're almost impossible to get fixed unless you replace the whole thing. Or if you know what you're doing and you know how to fix original PS2 boards. I don't. So for me, it would just be not worth it. But there was a Chicago trolley that had a bunch of Chicago stops on it. It was a PS2. It's like from 2001 or 2002 or something like that. And it was a good seller. It was by Trains, and I bought stuff from Trains before. They said it was tested. They said everything worked. Got it home. They shipped it out. Came here pretty quick. Opened it up. Now I run MTH stuff on my layout too, and I don't have any problems running MTH. I have plenty of PS2 and PS3 equipment. Not 5-volt PS2, but 3-volt PS2s. So I'm very familiar with MTH and how to run MTH stuff. It got here. I cleaned it up a little bit. It was in good shape. It didn't look like it was really run at all. I oiled it where it needed to be oiled. I put it on the track, and I didn't get any power on it at all. It wouldn't power up at all. Not even the incandescent bulbs. I couldn't even get the lights to turn on it. Like, what is this? Well, long story short, I spent about a couple hours on it. I opened it up. I checked it out, looking for loose connections, stuff like that. But unfortunately, it came and it was dead on arrival. So it's just one of those things. So I contacted Trains and I said, look, you said this was working. I put it on my track, and it didn't work. And they were like, okay, no problem. Here, we'll send you, we'll send you a label, and you can send it in, and we'll refund your money. And it was that easy. So, sometimes you're not gonna, you buy used stuff. Hey, so sometimes you buy new stuff, and it comes that it doesn't work.
Especially these days, you never know what you're going to get these days. But
so yeah, that's a story for another day. But
yeah,
yeah, sometimes you get stuff that it doesn't work, and if you're willing to work with the seller, it's just. And this time, I don't mind buying things from Trains, because if I get it and it doesn't work, they're always willing to, hey, you want to return it? It doesn't work? Sure, no problem. And it was fine. I was very happy with the transaction. So, how about yourself, Matt?
well, for me, I've done some eBay buying. I've done some eBay buying recently here. I bought some stuff. My most recent purchase was a Lionel Pennsylvania Railroad E6 Atlantic. That I got in from eBay. It was basically a new old stock model. The guy just test ran it, and I mean, it was still on ID1, so I don't know how much he actually ran the thing, but it was basically brand new. So I got that in, when did I get that in? A week ago, something like that. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece. I also have its sister, the Pennsylvania Reading Seashore Line variant, which is getting a legacy upgrade currently. But anyway, back to eBay. I bought that. I bought another E6. This one from MTH. It's the very first Proto 2 engine, so that has the 5-volt board, like we talked about a minute ago. I got that. I also have a Pennsylvania Railroad B6, the little steam switcher. I got one of those. That was from Trains. Very beautiful piece. And then I've also done some buying with a private individual, which this guy loves me, I'm sure, because I give him a lot of money. DJ from DJ's O-Gauge Trains. He loves me, man. I tell you, I've bought more stuff than him.
You're putting his kids through college? Is that what you're doing?
I don't know what. But, no, we bought some stuff. I bought his Tuscan Red K4, which I bought that and a myriad of other things from him. But that K4, when I got that home, oh my God, it was like a kid in a candy store opening that thing up. Him and I, we talked about every time, I saw it on the video or whatever. I'm like, DJ, when are you going to sell this to me? He goes, okay, fine, I'll sell it to you. So him and I, we worked out a price, and that was that. It's really pretty cool. It's a beautiful set. I actually just ran it right before.
It's a beautiful engine. Yeah, beautiful steam engine.
Oh yeah, right before I was going to record here tonight, I just finished running it. So it's a beautiful set. I also bought his R40, the F train. I just finished doing LED upgrade on that one, so that I'll have a how-to video on coming soon. And then I'm working on another set from him, his R32N train. You can tell I'm big into New York City subways, which we talked about that previously. That one I'm going to work on starting tomorrow at the time of this recording. I'm going to start paying on that. So that's to be really pretty cool. So yeah, DJ has definitely been the guy for me, but eBay has been there as well too.
And then obviously recently you and I actually had a trade.
Yes, we did.
We did. Yeah. So, again, as Matt said, he's very big into New York subway. I had the New York subway R16s with the two cars. I enjoy subways as well. But I love the set. It was fantastic, but I'm a Chicago guy, and my CTA trains sit on my upper subway loop pretty much constantly. And I kind of just figured it was one of those things where, like I said in the beginning, where, look, I really love these pieces, but you know what? I don't think I'm going to give them the time and the justice that they deserve to be run on a layout. Who, maybe I'll give them to somebody, or not give them, but trade them with somebody who's going to, use them. And that's what happened. The situation came up where, Matt was interested in them. And he had a set of Santa Fe Vision Line reefers, which, again, I'm a huge Santa Fe guy. And then we also included the this really cool Santa Fe -8, Legacy -8. We both thought the deal was the value, again, the intrinsic value in both items were were important to us. You know, we both felt like, hey, we got a good deal out of this because, you know, I got something I really wanted and I kind of gave up something that, you know, maybe I wasn't interested in anymore or didn't hold hold to the value that of the item that I'm getting, right? So very, very happy with both of my items. You know, I still have to because I was out sick, I still have to test out you know, my Santa Fe Vision, not test out, but I'm sure they work. So I've seen them before on your layout. But I still have to take them out of the box. But I did my Dash 8 is front and center, right in my layout. It hasn't come off the layout, man. I can tell you that.
That's cool.
I'm enjoying it very much. I really love it because you know why? I you know, it's really my only. Well, that's not true. It's one of my you know, besides my my Santa Fe genset switcher, which is, you know, a fantasy piece technically. This is my only true like you know, diesel locomotive that's you know, an actual prototypical, you know, paint job on it with the you know, with the war bonnet scheme. So that's why I keep it on there, because it sounds great, it looks awesome, and it goes well with my other pieces that I have, because I tend to you know, my layout is definitely modern, you know, 1960s kind of plus, because you know, I like F units as well. And so it kind of goes kind of with my style, I should say that. So, but again, I'll digress. You know, going back to the trading thing, you know, we both got what we really, really wanted, and we both ended up happy with it. So, you know, that's, you know, don't be afraid to trade things off if you need to. So.
For sure, you know, or trade something plus cash value. You know what I mean?
True. Yep.
That's what we were gonna do until I said, you know what? Hey, I got this diesel that I ain't using, so that's what we ended up doing. We ended up trading just the pieces instead of cash. Yeah. But
yep.
You know what? Why not do it? You know what? We like I said, I got the Subway that I really wanted, and Matt got the Santa Fe stuff, because you know what? As much as I love that engine in particular, I actually have 2 sets of the Vision Reefers. That's why I didn't really care to let those go, because I already had one. But the engine, as much as I like that, you know what? For Western power, you know, I really want a West Coast steam era train, not really a diesel. And for Santa Fe, you know, it just didn't really fit my railroad, I guess. The Subway really did. That's what I'm really into these days. So I figured, you know what, why don't we do it? And that's what we did. So I couldn't be happier with that Subway. It's a great set. I'm working on reading that one too.
I know you have. You're like the premier like Subway guy, I think now, yeah. As far as like O scale equipment goes. So, and I love watching all your videos with all your different New York Subway stuff. So
thank you.
Yeah. I think that probably wraps it up. Unless you had any kind of closing thoughts, Matt?
No, I can't really think of anything. Basically, all of our tips that we said in the onset here really kind of apply. Just, you know, keep those in mind as you're looking for a piece, be it an engine, freight car, passenger set, whatever it may be, even buildings, that too.
Yep.
You know, just kind of keep our tips in mind, you know, look for pictures, you know, ask the seller about the information about the piece, box, et cetera, and you'll be a happy camper after that.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to reach out to other resources. I've seen plenty of people ask questions in the O-Gauge forums, you know, OGR forums. I'll leave a link to the OGR forums if you're not familiar with them in the show notes. But don't be afraid to post there. You know, people post. I've seen people post all the times. You know, hey, you know, what do you guys think about this trade? Or, you know, what's your thoughts on this? You know, people ask questions all the time, and that's what that forum is there for. So,
for sure.
All right, Matt. Well, I think this was a great episode. I had a lot of fun. definitely enjoyed going over buying and selling, which is something that we both have experience with. Where can people find you?
They can find me on YouTube under Matt-Trainlover9943. They also have a Facebook page under the same name.
All right. And I can be found on YouTube at West Chicago Railroad. And on Facebook, you can find me as West Chicago Model Railroad. And folks, just, we really appreciate everyone taking the time to download our episodes. We would really appreciate any feedback. If you can give us a review on Google Podcasts or iTunes Podcasts, we're both on there. You can pretty much find us on any of the major podcasting channels, to be honest with you. But, please leave us feedback. Let us know what you want to hear. We're always looking for ideas for future episodes of the Matt and Matt O Scale Train podcast. So with that, everyone, have a wonderful night.
Take good care.